Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bianca. Today is May 25th. I'm going to start working on a very special project that isn't due until August 2nd. I'm so lucky and a bit nervous to participate in the Purroject Catwalk for CatCon 2025. I have to design an outfit. I'm going to strip my stuff down the little catwalk and participate. I'm so excited. I've never gone to a con before. This would be my first time, and I'm jumping in by participating in one of their contests. So this outfit will absolutely be judged, and if I win, that would be super cool. I really want to push myself out of my comfort zone, which is usually paper mache. So I'm going to try to design something all on my own. I have my image here, so I'm going to show you that in just a bit. To incorporate the cats, I thought of having a cat in each diamond and I would quilt it. So I saw some patterns on Pinterest and there was a really cool image that showed you how to make something like this. I've never quilted anything before, so not only will I have to make the actual fabric, but if I were to make the little cats, that would be extra work. So that's one option. The second one is I've really wanted an embroidery machine, and I found one on Facebook Marketplace that I'm waiting for a response to see if it's still available and if I can go pick it up. I'd love to create pins of different cats so that when I am walking down the runway, or if I'm walking through the room of like the CatCon room, I can provide these pins to like children or anybody who would like a pin of a cat that maybe reminds them of their cat. So that's kind of my idea. But along with this, I would also like to make it a dress with a twist, with a spin actually. So I'd like for it to also be a carousel. Is this too much? I don't know. My design would be called the Cat-rousel. It would be a carousel made for cats. As you see, I have the top that would have the diamond pieces. The skirt would have the stripes. At the bottom of the skirt, I would have cat toys. The original idea was to have this spin, but we came across a couple of issues, so we couldn't do that. The hat is going to have 2 cat ears. That's G crying in the background. And I had thought about putting cat toys around the hat as well. So this was my design, but as you'll see, quite a few things had to change. I am pretty excited. So I'm gonna start practicing, obviously, because like I said, I haven't done this before. So I have my diamond shape here. It's way more difficult than I thought to create a diamond because I was just making a square and I didn't want a square, I wanted a diamond. And if you want to know what the difference is, I'll show you. Shapes, who'da thunk? This is literally the first day. I wasn't planning on filming anything, but I'm really excited. I've never gone to a con before. This is my first time and I'm jumping into like a little contest, but I'm pretty excited. I hope I can do this and I hope I can win. I don't know, it would kind of like make me feel like I'm actually like good at this. Oh, why am I getting emotional? That would be really cool. So let me get started. I started cutting some pieces out to practice. I sewed 2 of them on and quickly realized that this was way too big. All right, so change of plans. And make another template for myself. It's like 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. The angles, I don't know. I just figured something out. I'm just really trying to make a good mock-up of this fabric so that when I do cut into my fabric, I kind of have an idea of what I want it to look like. So I'm gonna get to cutting. The pattern I was going to use was Purroject B6556. This is one of Gertie's patterns. I've made it before. Absolutely love how this dress fits. But if you can tell, This pattern has darts. I had to learn the hard way that the darts were going to make the diamonds shift, and I really didn't want that. So I ended up pivoting. I was going to make this out of cotton fabric. So I had a white bed sheet and a pink bed sheet, so I was going to use those fabrics. We went to Remainders and luckily we found like this stretchy, velvety-ish, I'm not good with fabrics, guys, which was pink and white. And if you saw season 17 of RuPaul's Drag Race, Susie Toot wore this absolutely stunning clown outfit, which has lived rent-free in my head, and I just absolutely thought this would be perfect. Because I got the stretchy fabric, I changed patterns. The pattern I used is Simplicity 5023, which is a pattern you've seen me use before. I got this one from backroomfinds.com, so please go check her store out to see if this is available because I've used this for many costumes. At this moment, I was just trying to lay out the diamonds to see how many I actually need for this pattern piece, and it looked as though I was counting 6 rows of diamonds, but that ends up changing. I cut out 30 pinks and 30 whites. Oh my goodness, where'd the birdie go? I wanted to show you how to lay these out. When you're putting these together, you might want to do it this way and sew it, but if you do it that way, it will look like this, right? So you don't want that. What you're going to want to do is actually sew it this way at an angle, and then when you flip it over, you'll have the diamonds. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I will show you once I'm done. All right, so this is the design that I had made on the computer. So we have 3, 5, 6 here, then again another 5, 4, 2. Right now I need to sew every single line, and then that would be the fabric that I can start cutting out of my pattern pieces over there. I've created 2 of these fabric pieces. I added one over here and one over here. As I measured it out with the pattern piece, it wasn't matching. So I decided to add these 2 pieces here. Those 2 pink diamonds that I added were only to cover a very small section of the pattern piece, but it was definitely needed. I aligned the waistline to the very top of the bottom pink diamonds so that the diamonds at the bottom kind of laid out as fringe. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with that at the time, but I still like how it looks. Once I cut the pattern piece out, I have to pin those edges and sew them up again, otherwise the fabric will unravel. Once I finish sewing those sections, I can sew the front and the back together. And this is what it looks like. All that's needed is to finish the armholes and put the collar. And of course, I had help from Teddy and G. So this is what the collar looks like. And I need to fix this because this looks terrible. This one looks better. What do you think? The final touches on the top were these little resin cats that my husband made. I have a gold cat for G, a black one for Teddy, a gray one for Monkey. The ones with the gold flecks are in honor of Nebula and Petunia. We've also included additional because we had Beanie Baby and Miss Lady Zadie, my 2 foster kittens from last year. Those were the cats that we've included in my top. This is my underskirt. I made this underskirt using a different skirt I had already, so that's where this pattern came from. But the design, I was struggling on trying to figure out how to make it. I created these cat heads out of beads, a bead garland that I had, and I have more gold resin cats. I want it to look similar to the center pole of a carousel, but with more cats. Eventually, I liked the idea of making a diamond shape in the center of the skirt, with the cats in the center. To make this even, I grabbed one of the diamond pattern pieces and marked it with a water erasable pen or soluble pen. Once it was marked, I grabbed my glue gun to start gluing these beads down. And these beads are Mardi Gras beads. I found them at Remainders as well. So I just started gluing these down. Honestly, it was just to make it easier for myself. I wasn't planning on hand sewing this, even though now I kind of wish I had, because it is a really cute skirt. But it is what it is. You live and you learn. I made these little squiggles as the cat body and tail. I go outside, spray paint them, wait for them to dry, bring them back in, and start gluing on the skirt. And this is what the underskirt looks like. Like I said, I really wish I had hand sewn this. Maybe one day I'll recreate this. It is what it is, but I think it's absolutely pretty, very beautiful. I added some beads on the side seams and a couple of cats as well. Okay, so for the hat, I'm going to cut out 6 white pieces and 6 pink pieces. So the reason is I have this hat over here. I purchased this hat at a thrift store. I've made a carousel hat before, but I don't have the material to do it, and I really want it to be the same color. So when I saw this hat, I thought, well, I could cover it and make it with the same fabric as the skirt. So I made this piece to fit the hat. I'm going to make a top layer, and this right over here is the inner layer or the outer. It doesn't matter. It's gonna be the same. But I pinned it all the way around, so now I need to sew it. Once I finished sewing those sections together, I then sewed both circles as if it were a pillowcase. I slid the hat inside of this pillowcase. I'm going to hand sew the very small opening on the side of the hat. I hand sewed the inner layer through the hat to the outer layer so that it will be nice and taut inside and it won't fall. The next thing I have to do is make my cat ears. This is another pattern piece that I made. I've made quite a few pattern pieces with this project. I'm really proud of myself for learning different things and finding out what shapes are, because apparently I didn't know. Anyway, I make 4 white triangles, then I sew them around, right? 2 pieces together, sew them around, clip the corners, turn it inside out, poke the corners out, and I start filling it. I wanted to fill this with my scrap fabric that I have from this project, which is usually what I do with my crochet items, but it wasn't standing up as nicely as I want it to. So luckily I had some stuffing that I also found at Remainders and used that instead. I created a small triangle for the pinks of the inside of the ear, zigzag that around to prevent it from fraying, and then I hand sewed that onto the ears. Hi, good morning. Today is Sunday. I worked on the little ears, so they are sewn on. They do have this little white thread around here. It's the zigzag, but I kind of like that because cats have fur kind of sticking into the little pinks of their ears. Oh yeah, like this. I think I like this a lot. Kind of forward. Yeah, I think this is gonna be cute. These little white ears mean that this is kind of like a little white cat. And my first cat ever was a little white kitten with pink ears, pink nose, pink little mouth, and blue eyes. She was so cute. I loved her so much. I've always loved cats, and I feel like this was such a cute homage to her, not knowing until like while I was sewing this that I was like, oh my god, this is her. So this is another way that I've included my cats in my make. I think it looks super cute. You might see a couple of pins and wire around because for our wedding anniversary, my mom had gotten us a lot of these little lights that you can just click on, and I want to light this up. And that's it, lit up. Of course I need a lot more, and I have to kind of like put it somewhere where I can, you know, just keep the clickers in here. I'll probably have to find a way to like cover them so that you don't see it, but I think this is gonna be really pretty. I ended up using 2 light strips, and this is how I hid my clickers. I had extra fabric, so I had one that had a seam in the center, and I just covered that to match the inside of the hat. I glued some Mardi Gras beads on the seams of each triangle, and I had this trim from previous projects that I put it around the hat. I needed a way to make sure that this hat didn't fall, which is why you see these ribbons. I put these ribbons on here so I can tie a bow and make sure that the hat doesn't fall off. At the tippy top of the hat, you will find a little gold resin cat. And this is how my hat turned out. I think it's super cute. Hi friends, today is the 5th of July and I have this fabric. This is now my pattern for my skirt. This section here is 4.75 inches. This is 17 inches. And this curve here is 22.5 inches. That is for my waist. I put it on with a hula hoop underneath, and I will add the image here maybe so you can see it. I don't know if I'm going to make it even longer than the 17 inches. I ended up going with 19 inches lengthwise. So I just measured the 2 extra inches that I needed and started cutting these pieces out. I cut out 3 white and 3 pinks. Then I sew this at the sides. Because this is a stretchy fabric, I had to sew it even smaller. Thankfully though, that created little channels where I could push these lights into it and not have to hand sew it or glue it. So it actually worked out in the end. Hello, today is the week before CatCon. I measured from this section here down 15 inches in each strip, and that's how I was able to measure evenly around my circle. All right, so I guess since I'm tacking this down, I can talk about how I've been feeling. Maybe this will make it to the video, maybe this won't. I've been feeling a little self-conscious about all of this. I reread what the prompt was, and it's supposed to be something that it's like you wear, and I was telling Josh that I feel like I didn't really do that great on the prompt. Made me think that maybe I didn't listen to what they were asking, because this isn't really an outfit that you wear, it's more of a costume, I would think. So I'm quite nervous that they're gonna be like, nah girl, this ain't even an outfit. Like, so you know, just a little self-conscious, but I'm trying not to be, because this is what I got, and I'm really proud of my growth in all of this. Obviously, like this wood base, we probably should have done something with boning, which I have over here, but I didn't do it because we kept thinking we were gonna be able to succeed with the mechanics. So just a little nervous, a little excited. I've requested stickers so that I can advertise for myself. So I'll be handing out stickers, hopefully, to anyone who would like a sticker and anyone who would like to take a picture with me. I don't know. That's so strange to think of. Hopefully people will like it. My friend Lauren from Coppertop Ink made this design. Hopefully it will bring people to see my YouTube channel, even though this year, man, I was really hoping that I would be able to make more things, but it's been really hard to try to find joy and make things. This project has helped me. Oh man. This project has helped me with like being slower in my making and learning. So it's helped me during these difficult times, because sometimes you just kind of feel helpless, right? You donate where you can, when you can, you share things. Hopefully the world gets better. Well, friends, it's kind of difficult to transition from something so real into something joyful. So I will leave a tip. If you are donating to a nonprofit organization and you work at a company that matches your donation, I suggest that you take advantage of that. It's not a lot, but I'm hoping that this is a way for us to continue to help these organizations that are doing what's right for our communities. Additional to this, CatCon does benefit animal welfare groups, and this year Pasadena Humane was the charity beneficiary. They also had kittens up for adoption, and all of the kittens were adopted. Just wanted to share that there are some good things out there and that we shouldn't lose hope. Now I'm going to segue into the making of the skirt. I've just tacked down and I hand sew all the way around. It did create this seam, which I'm not very fond of, but it's all right. I could end up covering it with some trim. Rosita's wearing the skirt because I wanted to use some ribbon in between these seams. But last time I tried it, I sewed it and it prevented the skirt from stretching, which was a problem. So what I ended up doing was finding this other trim to hopefully put around the inner circle. I didn't have enough. So then the next step is to measure the seam between the pink and the white sections and measure out where the gold resin cat is going to lie and start sewing some beads on either side of the cat. And as you can see in my background, I'm watching my favorite show, Bob's Burgers. Afterwards, we went to find some trim for the edge of the skirt. We found this fringe, which we were like, this is gonna look super cute. But then I stepped back and realized this isn't what I'm looking for. All right, so I spent about 2 hours putting this fringe here, and the more I look at it, the more it looks like a lamp. So,
you know the lamp.
You know that lamp. So we had this trim, we purchased it today, and I think it looks so much better. And we are going to unpick this fringe. All that hand sewing took about 2 hours. I'm about to cry. I didn't end up crying. I was actually so grateful that I hand sewed it instead of hot gluing it, because then it would have made it really difficult to cover with this really pretty trim that we found. So it is what it is. The next day I ended up hand sewing this trim around the base of the skirt. I also sewed some of this trim on the top section of the skirt where that seam was to kind of hide that. We also spray painted some fish along with some big pearls, and these I did have to glue onto the skirt, unfortunately. The cat toys are some little mice that we found at the Dollar Tree, and some pom-poms and feathers that we found at Remainders. The ribbon that it's tied to, I got at that ribbon box that I purchased a while ago. And remember how I mentioned I wanted to give out pins if I had an embroidery machine? Well, my mom had made these little cat pins. I did make sure to put these all around the gold section of the carousel. Like I mentioned earlier, the lights are inside of the seam of the skirt. I did have to sew the top sections to the waistband so that it wouldn't poke through and I wouldn't accidentally mess it up when I was putting it on. This is a USB light strip, so I needed a power bank to connect it to. I had one already, luckily, and I had to create this little pouch that I connected to the waistband with a big safety pin. Once I connect the USB to it, my lights turned on. And this strip also has a button to change the settings of the lights. And that's how I created my skirt. Literally 2 days before CatCon, I think to myself, I don't have any shoes to wear for this outfit. Let's make some. So I grabbed these old shoes that I haven't thrown away for some reason. I wanted to take them to the cobbler because I really like how they fit, but I just never got around to it. And I thought, well, I have this fabric, why not try to make shoes that match? I ended up covering them half pink and half white, each one. And when you look at them, you see white, pink, white, pink. I put some more Mardi Gras beads and I made tiny little cat heads to match my underskirt. The fish is also in the back to cover the seam of the lower heel, and I matched the trim that goes around my hat. And I had matching shoes. Now that all the pieces are together, I can try it out at home to see how it looks. And this is the final look. I am so happy with how this turned out from head to toe. Really, I absolutely love it. I cannot believe that I made it. This was just amazing. So now that I tested my makeup and put everything on my own, it was time for CatCon. tell how nervous I am because I am grabbing my hands as if they're gonna fly away. Oh my god, like, I can't believe it. I am getting emotional. This entire video is just me crying constantly. Everybody's look was amazing and I just like can't believe it. So I got to enjoy CatCon and I can't thank Amber enough. Amber really truly pushed me out of my comfort zone and I got to experience something super fun, meet new friends, and just have a really good time. So thank you, CatCon 2025. I hope to come back next year. I can't believe I did it. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like and consider subscribing to see maybe more videos like this one. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you all next time.